So this is about new grad wages, and I guess it's a controversy really around what's been proposed by the Fair Work Commission and how it's being dealt with. And I thought I'd dig into a couple of things: market rates, award rates, where we're going, and what's actually going to change with this. Starting with market rates. The market rate for a new grad therapist for people who were advertising last year, at the end of last year, end of 2025, was at least $70,000 and more like $80,000. That is what most clinics were advertising within the range of. A lot of grads, especially in fundamentally the most dominant ecosystem, which is home-based care now. This is where the biggest slice of therapists tend to end up, are being paid salaries more like $85,000 above, and they're being asked to work for larger corporate clinics and the like from the get-go. Obviously, they will have high workloads that go alongside with that, but the rate of pay is quite high in a lot of these streams. Super is generally paid on top of this, and when we quote award rates, it's never actually including super as well, worth noting. The base award currently is between about $32 and $33 per hour, which works out to about $65,000. So at first glance, there's a pretty big gap between the top of the market at sort of 85 plus, the middle of the market at 70 to 80, and actually what the award says. Only one of these things can be true. People are either being paid 65 grand now, or they're being paid more like $80,000. And when we want to look at what people are being paid, we're better to look at market rates. If we look at the award in detail, basically it's $32 per hour as a baseline, and you get slight additions for working weekends or public holidays. It's pretty rare in our industry for people to work public holidays. Shift work generally doesn't come into play. And honestly, not many people work weekends other than small private practices who are open on the weekend, and usually it's a half-day shift. So it's a fairly trivial difference. When we look at the new rate, it's proposed at around $41.09. This is me just adding the 28% increase to it because the previous proposal was listed based on last financial year's numbers. What that looks like, it's $81,000 a year. That's a $16,000 jump between the award of old and the proposed change. So yes, the headline rate increase, especially after super, is around $18,000. $18,000 per staff member is a pretty substantial jump. Here's why I don't think that's such a problem. The clinics this affects most are the ones who pay award salary only. Often these practices are charging lower fees. They're encouraging a high volume of services. And if anything, these are some of the most profitable businesses in the sector for the simple maths of it. They're paying the least amount of money for the largest volume of work. They have capacity to pay more as a general rule. Okay, I'm only generalizing. I can't speak to your individual practice. There are definitely clinics who will find this shift challenging. I just don't think it's that big a problem for the industry, which has been held back for such a long time. The majority of clinics are already paying market salaries plus incentives. So when you look at what a grad makes across their first 12 months, it's generally going to be more than that $80,000 figure anyway. If they're struggling in that part of the sector, chances are they've resigned within about 9 months because that wage is too low for them to sustain themselves, to feel confident that they're actually investing in a skill that's worth paying off. Because the reality is, you can earn $30 an hour working in retail. So if you've done a 4 to 6 year degree and you find yourself in the workforce after 6 months looking at your paycheck going, I'm getting paid 10% more than if I had never gone to university. That's a problem. And that problem is linked to one of the highest attrition rates we've ever seen across our industry, with new grads falling out of the system consistently. That is the problem we should be looking to solve. And the thing that solves that fastest is actually moving base award rates up to parity with the market rate itself. So there's nobody really being left behind in this lowest common denominator type of setting. So we can move this faster. The reason we don't want to, or people are resistant, is largely because there are businesses who are functioning simply because they're paying bare bones cheap. If your business model only survives by paying the absolute minimum wage, honestly, I don't think that's a very good business. Fair enough if you are in your first, 12, 18 months of trading or something like that. But beyond that, you really need to build a business that can pay living wages to professional staff from the get-go. That's a fundamental, and that is a business structure problem. It is not a problem with wages and how awards are structured. Those are separate issues. There is a lot of fear-mongering around this. There is always a lot of fear-mongering when any change comes in. When changes went to NDIS rates, there's a lot of fear-mongering. Clinics are going to close down. All these jobs will be lost. Yes, some clinics will struggle. Yes, some jobs will go. But when some clinics close, others open, there's a transition from low sustainability business models to high sustainability models. And that is better for the majority of people in the industry to work in businesses that can financially support them. The reality is businesses are adaptive as well, by definition. If structural changes come through, businesses will adapt. Often, the most obvious thing to do is to raise prices. You are not raising prices because everybody on your books is having a pay increase. You are raising prices marginally because the lowest paid people in your workforce are being paid at a living wage for a professional. There's efficiency gains or wage which can be had, seeing a couple more patients here and there, reducing some waste in your business finances. At the end of the day, the majority of clinics are small and they don't have 15 graduate staff. You're talking 1 or 2 at most. Finding an extra 10K per staff member per annum comes down to finding about $50 per day. $150 per week. It's 2.5 appointments that you need to find, or some money per week, $1,000 a month that you need to be able to get back into your business. That is not an insurmountable challenge, and that is not the sort of thing that should be delayed for 5 or 6 years until everybody feels comfortable with it. This is the reality of a market sector economy where the best businesses will thrive regardless, and this is largely irrelevant to them. And the worst businesses will have to find better ways of doing business to stay competitive. If you're interested in more analysis or details of things like this, like, subscribe, join my YouTube channel, check out the people community at the link in the blog, and I'll see you in my next video.